Hey crystal lovers, Ashley here with the Love and Light School of Crystal Therapy, and in this video I'm sharing some of my favorite crystals for Gemini season. So I have tons of great stones to a little bit of show and tell today, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of Gemini season. It's important during this time to focus on learning, new experiences, positive communication. It's really a time that's fueled by our curiosity, our desire to learn, our desire for deeper understanding. And often the knowledge that we gain during Gemini season provides really valuable lessons that are going to be needed throughout our life. So this is a good time of year to really focus on the things that are sort of presenting themselves, making themselves available to you, things that you are learning for the first time, things that you're peeling back new layers of discovery about. So as we dive into Gemini season, which starts today, May 21st, and goes through June 21st, our focus really shifts to being able to adapt and change to these new situations with that new knowledge that we've collected. So I want to share some special crystals that you can work with during this season. But I want to say, one of the most important things when it comes to Gemini season is sort of satisfying that curiosity by pushing ourselves a little bit outside of our comfort zone, having new experiences, meeting new people, making new connections. I know this can be difficult, especially for us introverts, but the energy of Gemini's ruling planet, Mercury, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on, can really give you the encouragement that you need to try something new, to have those experiences, to do that communication. And ultimately, usually, you'll be able to look back on these experiences that you have during Gemini season really fondly, and you'll be glad that you have this newfound knowledge. So, during this time, you can work with these Gemini crystals to sort of connect you with these current celestial energies and enhance the positive attributes of Gemini while balancing out some of its more challenging aspects. So Gemini, of course, is the symbol of the twins. Its ruling planet is Mercury. It's a mutable sign, which means during this time, you should be really open to change. This is all about adaptation, intuition, acceptance, and it's also an air element sign. So this is all about intellect, learning, knowledge, wisdom, mental clarity. The parts of the body Gemini are related to are the chest, lungs, arms, hands, and fingers. And this is a time for adaptability, communication, cooperation, curiosity, and joy, kindness, wisdom. All of these things will really become really prominent this Gemini season. Now, there are some important Gemini season gifts to be aware of. So these are the things that will sort of make themselves known, and you can really call in with the crystals that I will share. So, discovery, empathy, inquiry, intelligence, knowledge, understanding. These are the gifts that are being brought to our awareness this Gemini season, but it also comes with some challenges. So, apathy, ignorance, impulsiveness, indifference, overwhelm, refusal to change, stubbornness. These things can sort of be some challenges that may come up, and our crystals can also help support us with that. So during Gemini season, you want to choose crystals that really amplify some of those gifts and positive attributes, especially the curiosity, empathy, and communication, which are sort of intrinsic to Gemini, but also deeply connected with the planet Mercury, Gemini's ruling planet. So here are the crystals. Let's sort of go through, do a little bit of a show and tell. I thought this would be sort of fun. So I'm going to share some that I brought for today. This is moss agate. This is one of my favorite moss agate stones. It just has these gorgeous swirling patterns, and apologies for the glare, but I love that color, how you get that gorgeous green, which is created from chlorite and hornblende, and sometimes some other things sort of mixed into a matrix of chalcedony. And this is a really earthy stone, which when we have all of this like new information, new experiences, can really help us bring things back down in a grounded way. So if you tend to get a little overwhelmed by all the new information and the things that are going on, moss agate is a great stone to help you sort of reconnect and apply those lessons in a really practical way. Next is angelite. Angelite, this is a Peruvian angelite, is one of my favorite air element stones, and it's a form of massive anhydrite. So you can see it's very chalky. This, you don't often see it like this, but this is very rough, and then when it's polished, it can reveal that beautiful blue that we know angelite for. So this is a really different piece, but I wanted to show it to you because even the outside here almost looks very cloud-like. And so, and it's also a very porous stone. So it really taps into that air element energy, that intellect, that wisdom. Angelite is a great companion for Gemini season because of that. Then we have blue apatite, and I have this really large blue apatite crystal here. You don't often get to see blue apatite like this in its crystalline form, so it's nice when you do. But even if you just have a tumbled stone, a palm stone, something like that, some really beautiful apatite comes from Madagascar, but you can find it from other places in Africa, in Brazil, lots of origins and localities for blue apatite. So I personally love this for communication. And since Gemini is ruled by Mercury, communication is key during this time, clear, positive communication. So apatite can be really helpful. It also helps with that tendency to be a little bit impulsive. Remember, that's one of those Gemini season challenges. So this is a good crystal if that's something that you struggle with, especially dealing with things like intrusive thoughts. We also have clear apophyllite. I love this crystal. This is a clear apophyllite cluster from India. And look how just sparkling and glittering and gorgeous this stone is. So again, air element stone, dealing with that mental clarity, that intellect, excellent for that. But green apophyllite is also really beneficial. So here I have a cluster of green apophyllite with some peachy pink stilbite, and these two often grow together. And again, this piece is from India, so this is this sort of pale minty green, and this brings in this sense of connection, this heart space energy, really digs into that empathy of Gemini season. Remember, Gemini as the twins are sort of mirrors for one another. So this is why relationships, communication, things of that nature are so important right now, but it's also that heart-to-heart connection that happens. So green apophyllite, great for that empathy and compassion that really makes itself known at this time. Next, there's azurite, and I have a blue azurite geode here, which is pretty unusual. The outside looks like a big blueberry. These are little nodules, and inside this one happens to be a geode, which doesn't happen very often. But azurite's great for intuition, and because Gemini is a time where Gemini season is a time where you can allow yourself to be led a little bit more by your intuition, azurite can be a really useful crystal companion. There's also celestite, a fantastic air element stone, and I have this one, which is just a really large crystal. It's a couple crystals. Normally we see this more in clusters and little geodes and things like that, but I thought this one would be interesting for you to see because of the really large crystal size. You can appreciate the crystal shape and structure, but this is a great stone for mental clarity and for new ideas. So allowing yourself to sort of follow those new ideas wherever they may lead you. Then we have chrysocolla, and I really think of this as being sort of water, air, and earth all mixed together, which I love. So you get a bit of that wisdom coming through, a little bit of that grounding, a little bit of that flow, sort of all together, but especially for new wisdom information, knowledge that you can sort of gather from your ancestors, your guides. Chrysocolla is great, so this is a good one to have right now. There's also citrine, and here I have this gorgeous citrine. This is sometimes known as a manifestation formation. It's often now called Kundalini citrine, but I kind of go back to the old school terms, which would be an abundance formation or manifestation formation. And what that means is there's one large crystal and then lots of little crystals all around the outside. This piece is an ethically sourced piece from DR Congo. And I love the natural citrine. It has that soft gold rather than that really deep amber color from the heated amethyst, which is commercially available as citrine. But there are almost no better stones for helping you recognize and appreciate your inner gifts than a citrine. And so letting those gifts really inspire you this Gemini season, again, to follow sort of your bliss with learning, with knowledge, with new ways of understanding things. Citrine is excellent for that. There's also green fluorite, and this is a piece of frosterly fluorite. This is English, and it has a little bit of, I believe it's maybe a calcite druze, maybe it's quartz. No, I think it's calcite druze on the surface. And so all these little cubic fluorite crystals are sort of peeking out of that druze, which looks almost like frosty snow. But green fluorite is good for personal growth. So during Gemini season, looking at that heart space, sort of being honest with ourselves, opening up, and sort of combining that with that logic and reason to see, what do we need to work on with ourselves? What needs our attention, our love, our healing? So creating that space for some self-love too. Then we have rainbow fluorite. This is one of my personal favorite air element crystals. So good for mental clarity. Whenever I am learning something new, studying something, just trying to get a deeper understanding of something, I reach for rainbow fluorite. This piece is from China. That's where some of the most beautiful rainbow fluorite comes from, and it's just a thin little palm stone, but I love the color here. So let your fluorite sort of inspire you as you go on this learning journey to sort of stay focused and stay clear. There's also hematite. So here I have some hematite from Morocco. This is very angular because it's a piece that was part of a botrydal formation, which is sort of a bubble-like formation. And so this is a mostly iron-based mineral, so it's very heavy, great for grounding, also really reflective. So it helps you again with that sort of inner work right now, keeping you grounded, keeping you focused on what's important, not getting swept up in the big changes. So helping you sort of still maintain the path and see your way forward through everything. There's also howlite, and howlite is a stone that I normally associate more with restful sleep and creating like a peaceful environment, peaceful space for sleeping. It's also great for dream work. So if you need a little intuitive message, some new knowledge and wisdom coming from your dream space where you can sort of take your conscious mind out of things and let your subconscious sort of inform you a little bit, howlite is excellent. You can just tuck a piece in your pillowcase, keep it on your bedside table. It's great for that. Then we have red jasper. This is just a rough red jasper. This is a super grounding stone. But I think that more than that, it really does lend itself to a bit of motivation. So if you're one that's apprehensive about those new experiences, meeting new people, being in unfamiliar territory that way, red jasper can help just sort of motivate and encourage you to give it a try anyway and just see what happens. Be a little bit open to the experience. There's also blue kyanite. Blue kyanite is a stone of action, direction, decision making. It is so useful, and so I love blue kyanite for this. And just allow this to sort of connect with everything that needs a little direction, a little focus, a little excitement in your life. So let that sort of inspire you and guide you to the next best steps. This piece is Brazilian, and you can see it's really transparent, really translucent. You can see right through that. I just love this crystal. It's also really good for clearing energy. So if there's just a lot happening and you need to sort of recenter yourself, you can use it to sort of sweep and clear that energy, just like you would with a piece of selenite. There's also lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli, this is just a little tumbled piece. Lapis is going to be primarily dark blue, but you'll see bits of pyrite in there. And that pyrite is also predominantly made of iron, similar to our hematite, but it's in this field of blue, so it really looks like sort of a starry sky. And so it connects us with the cosmos. It connects us with the constellation of Gemini with those stars. It can be used for any sign this way, so I just love it for connecting with the zodiac in general. There's also lepidolite. Here I have some gem lepidolite. This is rough. It's actually super transparent. You can see the light through it from one side, which is great. This piece has a tiny little pink tourmaline hanging out there with it, but this is also super reflective, good for that inner reflection, and it's a great air element stone. So again, connecting with that wisdom, logic, intellect, all those things that we think of with the air element. Then there's a very cool stone. It's called biotite mica, and this is a biotite lens. That's what they call them because, look, you can see right through that. It's completely clear. Look how thin this sheet is. You can see my eyes through there. So they actually used to use this for windows in housing, I believe in ancient Rome, if I'm remembering properly. But you can see right through this stone. And so this is about sort of seeing through illusion, seeing through things, looking through things, at things through a different perspective. So really just helping you get a newfound sense of clarity. And look at this crystal is also really reflective. So again, that sort of turning inward, but that's a really cool one. So that's biotite mica. There's also peach moonstone. I love this crystal. Look how flashy this sphere is. This piece is from India, and peach moonstone is all about nurturing. And we often turn to peach moonstone for nurturing ourselves, nurturing relationships, which again, Gemini really connected to relationships and love and that sort of thing. But it's also about nurturing your passions, nurturing the things that excite you. So nurture that relationship with new wisdom, new knowledge, with exploration. All of those things are so important. Then we have some rainbow fluorite right here, or excuse me, rainbow moonstone. And this one is really good for just getting in the flow. I think with all the changes that come during Gemini season, this one's really helpful just to help you sort of connect with all the shifts and changes and ease into it a little bit rather than fighting against the current. We also have a white moonstone. White moonstone, this is a great crystal for balance. So if some of these changes are just making you feel a little sort of thrown through a loop, this is a great crystal to help you get recentered. Then there's one of my favorites. This is beautiful, glittering, sparkling, fiery Ethiopian opal. And I think because of the glare, it's not showing the color, but there's so much fire inside of here. Purples, greens, blues, and oh, you can see a little bit. And this is just a great crystal for, again, helping you light your fire, light that inner passion, ignite that excitement for all the new things and new experiences you can have this season. There's also pumice, which is incredibly lightweight. It weighs almost nothing at all. In fact, this little piece of pumice will float in water because it's mostly air. So a great air element crystal, perfect for Gemini season. And we have blue sapphire. Blue sapphire is really good for helping overcome some of the challenges of Gemini season. So it really helps with some of those sort of shadow aspects of Gemini. So if you're struggling with some of those challenges I mentioned earlier, blue sapphire, really great. There's also selenite. We can all use a bit of cleansing and release during times of change. That is a really good one and one that probably most of you have. And then we also have sodalite. Because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, we need better communication. This sodalite is so helpful, one of my favorite communication crystals. So if you have to have a difficult conversation, if you want to have a heart to heart, if you want to really, celebrate and communicate deeply and enjoy, hold a little selenite for a few minutes before having that conversation with someone, and it's great. It's also good for communicating with your guides as well. So, good crystal for that. And then we have golden tiger's eye. Here I have a rough piece from South Africa, and golden tiger's eye is good for reflection, like so many of these crystals that we've talked about, but it's also about recognizing growth and change. So, so often we're focused on the future and what we should be doing next, when sometimes it's nice to take a pause and reflect on the past and see how far we've come, see all the things that we really appreciate about ourselves, our lives, our relationships, our community. It's just a great stone for that. And then last but not least, we have turquoise. So this piece of turquoise is rough. It forms in a really thin crust. This is actually a super large piece. It is stabilized. It's really hard to find non-stabilized turquoise on the market. But this turquoise is great for connecting with the air element. But it's really about sort of like enlightening knowledge, spiritual wisdom, and helping you integrate the lessons and the things that you're learning so that you can put those things into practice and into action. I hope this was helpful for you. I will be dropping a new blog post and podcast all about the best crystals for Gemini season this Thursday, May 23rd. So be sure to check it out. There's a link below this video to go listen to the podcast. You can head over to loveandlightschool.com/listen and subscribe so that you get notified when that new podcast episode drops. So thank you so much for being here, for talking about these crystals with me. I hope to see you next time. Until then, crystal blessings.